All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Maker Scientific Governance and Risk Meeting number 150. Happy to have such a milestone. Be hosting the call. My name is Peyton. I'm Pros 11 on the forums, one of the governance facilitators for MakerDAO. We're joined by a bunch of awesome people in the ecosystem and interested generally in what's going on at Maker, and looking forward to another wonderful call. So to kick off this week, I guess I'll do a little governance recap on what's been going on. But before that, a reminder that we encourage questions. We'll be doing a lot of roundups and reports on what's going on in the community. So if you have a question about anything that's discussed, feel free to either raise it in sidebar or unmute and ask it when the time is appropriate. We will be asking for questions, and I'm happy to read them off for anyone who doesn't have a mic or otherwise doesn't want to unmute. So yeah, so in terms of governance last week, one important thing is executive from 2 weeks ago, we're still waiting to pass. We're within 4,000 MKR of getting that passed. So if you haven't looked at that, would greatly appreciate you taking a look and supporting that there. There are a few different things on there, but it does include core unit budgets. So a lot of core units are waiting for their funds currently. We had 3 polls that concluded this week, and all of them passed. First one was adjusting the flap auction parameter. We'll basically be lowering that from 60 minutes to 30 minutes. That is our surplus auction, basically about how long it takes for the auction make MKR to end. So look for that most likely in this week's executive. We have an increase to the new silver debt ceiling, our real world asset 02 ilk. We were raising that from 5 million to 20 million, again, expected for this Friday. And finally, we had onboarding Matic, that's Polygon, as a new vault type. Like I said, all those passed. The Matic will likely take some work. So probably looking first or second week of August there before that gets into the executive, but that is on the plate for preparation now. Yeah, so that covers the governance things. I'm gonna pass it over to Long for Wisdom, the senior governance facilitator, for an update on what GovAlpha has been up to this week.
Oh man, that makes me sound old. Yeah, just briefly before I get into that, like commenting on the executive again. So paper impairment in the sidebar was saying, can we not show it? I guess because comments, which is kind of valid given that like we can't really tell people to vote for it because that's being non-neutral. So I'll maybe amend that to say like, please vote for it, or like get in touch with me and tell me that you're not voting for it. Because so far nobody has done that. So yeah, like I'm pretty convinced that it's mainly just from apathy rather than from like actual objection. But again, if anybody wants to sort of talk to me and like set me straight on that, please do. I'd literally love to hear from anyone who's not voting for it. Anyway, moving on to yeah, GovAlpha highlights. So as always, we posted the GovAlpha weekly update in the forum just a little while ago. But yeah, just to go over the highlights briefly. So in continuing to work on delegation, so we now have a launch date of the 2nd of August. I'll be doing an announcement post probably on Monday, which will kind of sort of more formally tell everyone. But yeah, we'll be scheduling like meet your delegates meetings in the next couple of weeks, probably starting next week. Yeah, and there'll be like more sort of forum docs and sort of stuff being made public very soon for delegation. So yeah, very close now, which is good. Well, quite close. Still 2.5 weeks, but quite close. Which is great. So other highlights, several source code things, either here or coming. So Peyton posted a technical design for source code, moving more of it on chain. As in the forum, that was produced by Kevin and Seth, I believe, from source code. So thank you to them. And there's more details on the sort of governance boost stuff coming up soon as well. Last thing I wanted to highlight is not strictly speaking Go Alpha, but I've been working with Derek on the coordination sheet for mandating actors and governance to help make it more transparent what we're all working on and the state it's currently in. So yeah, we're getting there. All right, that's everything from me. Ping, back to you.
Excellent. So we typically do a forum at a glance kind of report on what's going on in the forum. And this week, Sevix prepared that and I believe is ready to present it to the call. If you're around, Sevix.
Hi, everyone. Sevix here again, bringing the forum at a glance this week. I'm leaving the link in the chat right now so you can follow me. First, we have the 3-point summary. First point, almost 5.5.
Bourbon, please mute yourself.
Excuse me?
No, you're good, Sevix, Karen.
Should I follow?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. First point, almost 5.5 billion DAI in circulation, 4.5 more to go till the 10 billion goal. The surplus buffer is about to hit 50 billion DAI for the first time, so hooray there. And the total value locked in the maker is 9.3 billion. We have a couple of announcements in case you may have missed it. Blimpa just posted the weekly MIPS update number 44. Derek, alongside with the MakerDAO protocol engineering team and Optimism, have launched the official DAI token bridge on Optimism, which is very good news. Lastly, Josh started a debate last week about whether we should start looking into Thorchain network for providing liquidity and the ability to swap DAI. Growth Core Unit has reached out and is already exploring options. We have a couple of active discussions. First one is, what is a DAO anyway? GDeep shares a reflection from his blog on what a DAO is or should be, and is stirring many reflections on how those thoughts might apply to Maker. Next one, Paper Imperium urges the community to reject the onboarding of the Amazix marketing core unit and shoots his allegation. Old Paul from Amazix replies back. Also, Subventures bring a discussion on how regulators plan to view bank crypto assets for evaluating safety on their portfolios. Lastly, Donan thinks we have to be smart about the usage of donations, grants, and liquidity programs, or it could backfire to the DAO. We have no signals this week, so no voting, and I'm skipping the ongoing initiatives, so I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks for that update, Sevix, and great job putting it together. So we'll get on with our updates. I believe first we have protocol engineering, and I see your camera pop on, Chris. Take it away.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, everybody. Chris from Protocol Engineering. We published a collateral evaluation for the staked ETH. That's probably worth reading because it may impact, I don't know, how much risk we assess to it, whether or not we want to add it, that sort of thing. So if you're ever going to read one, definitely worth paying attention to. For collateral onboarding, we've been working on the centrifuge drop tokens. So we've got 4 centrifuge assets in line right now. Been a lot of back and forth, no major errors, but we're just trying to massage the centrifuge additions to be really turnkey. So we've come up with a whole sort of checklist for validating centrifuge additions and we're the sort of Covan spell to be like the mainnet spell and the config to be easy enough to add multiple kinds. And so I think the centrifuge guys just finished the Covan version after some feedback right before this call. And I also was deploying the sort of mainnet versions of the contracts that they need, but ran out of gas 5 minutes ago. So I need to deal with that now. So I'm thinking for centrifuge. So this week's executive is probably just going to be what's in the polling, but we'll include likely the debt ceiling raise for new silver, and we'll get the Covan assets out this week, and then it'll probably be next Friday that we end up doing the mainnet exec. Sorry, Lucas, we're I think we're going to slip on this Friday, but we're in a good position.
All good. All good. Thanks for the update.
And then so for the sushi LP tokens, there was a bit of a miscommunication with the sushi team. So the pairs that we're interested in adding, they're not moving over to the sushi MasterChef V2 contract yet, which means we had kind of were prepared for it, but it's going to be a few months. So I think we're going to deploy with the old style instead. And so we're kind of working on getting all of that ready to go. There were some changes. And then we have to update we have to get liquidations ready for these. So we had to update the exchange Kali's contracts, and we're going to have to make the keeper updates as well. For layer 2, we have the official announcement of DAI Optimism Bridge, which is huge, and I'm super excited about, and I'm like losing sleep thinking about it. So I hope everyone's excited about the potential here. And we did a bunch of like reviews just to make sure that everything was denied correctly, or relied and denied correctly on the bridge and whatnot. So the next milestones for L2 are going to be Arbitrum. We're going to start looking at this sort of optimism fast withdrawal and publishing like how to do that, and maybe working on that, and also an L2 risk framework. So look forward to that. And the thing that I'm like losing sleep over is thinking about multi-collateral DAI deployed to like Optimism and Arbitrum and whatnot. So I you know, the future's bright. So with regards to institutional vaults, we have been working kind of like with growth in a few other like cross teams to sort of define what this would mean. And so we've got like a mock-up of this DSS charter, which is sort of this initial implementation is going to allow you know, for these kind of traditional, institutional like vaults to be created, or permission vaults or whatnot. So we also wrote some of the like gem join stuff around that, and I think we're just gonna have to go back and discuss more with the other teams about what we're gonna do. Quick note on testnets. Last week I kind of soft announced in this that we're going to Goerli, and everyone should speak up or hold their peace. So we're committed to Goerli, and I want to do a shout out to Tim, who managed to score us 20,000 Goerli ETH. So we're off to a good start, and we'll start like you know, making a deployment plan for getting everything onto Goerli. And then for next week, there's a number of team members that are going to be at FCC. If you're there, you can meet up with them and chat, wrench attack them, whatever. And that's Sam, Derek, Bartek, and Chris. So especially if you want to talk like L2 stuff, like you've got a good team there, and so it'll be great. And yeah, and then there's a variety of meetings scheduled for that week as well while we're there, like with Starkware and Nexo and others. So that's about it for my side. If there's anyone else on the protocol engineering team that wanted to bring something up, feel free. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. So. Dice Starlink.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Hey, a few things. I heard a rumor that folks are trying to monetize Goerli. I don't know if you could say if that's true or false. And the second one is when it comes to GEF, MEV / reorgs, how could that affect liquidations 2.0 if it does come into fruition? Or can it not?
Yeah, I haven't thought a lot on those topics, but reorgs are an interesting problem when it comes to liquidations 2.0 because we have a price decrease function, which is based on the block timestamp. So in theory, if like you get these kind of like deep reorgs, you could end up in this place where, yeah, and I'm just thinking of this off the top of my head. Let's say you go like 10 minutes and then someone's able to reorg 10 minutes worth of the blockchain. That would be a pretty big reorg. By the time that's finished, it would unwind the liquidation that happened in those blocks, and the price decrease function would actually, you know, be a little bit lower the 10 minutes later. So there could definitely be some fallout from reorg style stuff. I don't think we've thought through all of the sort of heavy implications of like a strong like reorg regime, but I don't think it's great. So yeah, we can maybe take that offline and discuss more. As for the first one, I kind of like, there was like maybe some noise in your background. You'd asked something about maybe Gorley, or I didn't quite get what you were asking.
Monetization of early.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure. I mean, the monetization of it would be monetizing Goeth, right? And that was looking like it stressed me out, because I was like, oh, this network actually looks good. We should use this. Like a day later, Andre like released that thing, and then all of the like faucets went dry, and I was like, man, we're gonna have to like pay for this, but then it ends up being that we didn't have to, and I think 20K for being able to like bootstrap MCD over on that network. We can create plenty of DAI from other assets that we add, and 20K is like a pretty good place to start. Your initial ETH wrapper, because you want the real WETH, because you want to be able to test integrations. That's part of the reasons we want to use Gorley. So so we just need enough ETH to like create some vaults that allow for like deeper integrations with other projects and whatnot. It sounds like we may be able to get more than the 20K that we already asked for. So so that'll be good. Maybe we'll get it once we have everything deployed and they're willing to like fund it. So right now it doesn't look like it'll be a problem.
Awesome. Last call for any other questions right now for PE? Thanks for chiming in, Frank. I appreciate it. Nick is looking to join us kind of at the tail half of this meeting. So we've bumped the Oracle's update to the end, which means Risk is up next. Pramosh, are you giving the update today?
Yeah. Yeah. So we managed to finally publish D3M module risk assessment today, where we also proposed parameters such as debt ceiling and target borrow rate, which are essentially the only two parameters needed for this module, apart from potential implementation of debt ceiling instant access module, which would also include another two parameters. We propose a bit conservative parameters at launch, so debt ceiling of only 10 million, but we noted that after a period of testing, we think we could increase debt ceiling up to 200 million. The report basically tries to describe all kinds of risks Maker would be exposed to through this module. The risks are mostly related to Aave's solvency, liquidity, governance risk, Oracle risks, but the part that's maybe a bit risky and worth to emphasize, and we did, is this situation where the module could not be working as we would want in certain edge cases. This would be a situation where potentially there is some kind of negative event at Aave, funds would start flowing out. This would increase utilization levels, interest rates, and D3M module would begin to increase exposure to Aave instead of it decreasing it. So it actually goes from bad to worse. And yeah, the problem is that the module doesn't really know there's some kind of negative events happening at Aave, because the only input it uses is the borrow rate. And the only partial protection we could think of is to implement instant access debt ceiling. So this kind of limits the growth of exposure at Aave in these kind of scenarios. So story short, please read the report. I already saw some good comments today. Consider these risks and provide feedback, especially related to the debt exposure Maker wants to have. I personally also think that if you are to test this module, now or really soon would be a good time, because Aave liquidity binding rewards are being, I think, potentially temporarily disabled in 10 days, and this might increase rates at Aave. And if we had a D3M module live, we could see it utilized and tested. But I think we're still waiting for some smart contract audits. So I'm not sure how fast we can really move here. Other than that, now that we finished most of these risk assessments for collaterals and this module, we started focusing more on stuff that was in our backlog. We almost finished running simulations in regards to potentially lowering liquidation ratios at all types. The issue we're facing right now is that vaults are currently pretty well capitalized. And this is because really well collateralized. And after, this is because after the crash in May, vault owners started to be a bit more cautious, which is of course good, but the risk premium calculations are showing really low numbers. So it might be a bit misleading now, which means that when we simulate for lower liquidation ratio, the risk premiums are still pretty good. But what we want to do is to run the same simulations on set of inputs that represent a bit more risky behavior of users. So we'll probably try to focus on a period before May crash when users were pretty heavily leveraged, so that we have more balanced view what happens if we lower the liquidation ratio. And that's about it. Also, Chris mentioned there's this ongoing work with institutional vaults. Work tomorrow with all the teams. Hopefully, we finalize the proposal, and yeah, you can expect an interesting proposal in soon regarding these new vault offerings that are not just for institutions but may also be for retail. And yeah, that's it from our side.
Excellent. Are there any questions on risk, either based on what's been covered or something else? Cool. And I had missed that Nick had already joined the call, so I am going to circle back to him for the Oracle's update. Sorry about that, Nick. Take it away.
No, my fault. For context, I had a conflict for this call and had let Peyton know. So thanks. Migration of the Oracle feeds to the new kind of libp2p type of architecture is ongoing. We have kind of done like a very slow rollout because this is like a very big type of change, and we really wanted to ensure that there was no disruption of any service. So far, everything looks really good, and so little by little, we're just adding to the number of feeds that we're kind of including in this like onboarding group. And it's looking like within 2 weeks or so, we should be kind of fully transitioned over. So that's very exciting. Really proud of the team for all of the work that they've put into this. It's really paying off. We're also on the kind of DAI fast withdrawal bridge, kind of scrutinizing that problem space right now. Key to this fast withdrawal bridge, right, is a Oracle-like mechanism, right, that is basically looking at L2 and looking at L1 and kind of vouching that the transactions are kind of like legit transactions, right? So right, this is what helps us circumvent this like 1 week withdrawal kind of delay that you would typically see on an optimistic rollup type of situation. So we're evaluating what's really needed there, talking to some external teams, doing some internal research, and really just trying to vet, what are the trust assumptions here, or what are the incentives, and under what conditions do those hold, or under what conditions do those break, and are those the same or riskier than the trust assumptions we already make when it comes to oracles generally, right? For example, when we're talking about feeds, right? feeds are essentially just a trusted validator set that Maker governance is kind of elected or delegated, right? And in this circumstance, right, whoever is kind of deciding that, or whatever the consensus mechanism is, where you're deciding that these transactions that are being seen on Optimism on L2, that you're kind of running them locally and verifying that they're okay, right? What is this consensus game that you play, right? That you ensure that everyone agrees that this is legit or this is not legit. So that was a bit long-winded, but that's where we're looking at that very closely, and we see a lot of potential with L2, not just for DAI and Maker in general, but also in particular for oracles. From a business model point of view, right? If DeFi, shifts to L2, they're still going to need oracles on there, right? And from a margins point of view, right, the transactions on L2s are significantly cheaper, right? So it makes delivering the Oracle service much cheaper, which is kind of a very attractive kind of business opportunity. So L2 oracles really, not just for Optimism, but for Arbitrum and for other L2s, is really front and center here. And we're kind of already talking to teams that are looking at launching on those chains, whether they would be open to using Maker oracles. As far as the we did a collateral onboarding assessment for Matic that we published at the tail end of last week. I think we're going to have to push back on the executive vote for a couple of weeks, purely because we are kind of busy with the migration, right, for libp2p, and we don't want to have like too many different Oracle versions kind of flying around. We want to kind of get the upgrade out and then kind of do the incremental changes, that are involved for token onboarding, for example, Matic. So really the earliest that we're looking at for a Matic onboarding is, I think, the executive for the week of August 6th, which is about 3 weeks from now. That would be for tokens that require a feed-based Oracle. Now, I think Christopher Mooney brought up earlier that that we're looking at the Sushi LP tokens. There is no kind of roadblock from the Oracle side there, because those are just kind of individual smart contracts that we deploy. So there's no conflict there. We're ready to go, at least from the Oracle perspective, we're ready to go on those whenever. Also, I guess last update, core unit, please pass the executive vote. Oracle core unit is trying to spin out of the foundation at the end of the month. It's hard to do that when we don't have any money. So please let me get rid of some of my anxiety and let me get some sleep. Thanks.
Any questions for Nick on the Oracle side? Yeah, sleep is good, Bourbon. Not seeing any questions either in the chat or on here, so we'll move on to Seb and the real world finance update.
Yeah, thanks. So I will start by thanking the strategic happiness core unit to sending me some cool swag of Maker. Those are my first one, so I'm super happy to have them, even if it was not easy to send a package to France. You will see what France is for some of you next week. On the updates, we have an updated budget by Mark. It's not public on the forum yet, but as a teaser, I can say that if the community incorporate all the proposed core units, we will and don't make more revenues than currently, we will lose money at the end of the month, but still be cash flow positive. The difference between the net income and being cash flow positive is the MKR tokens that are giving us compensation as well. James did a post on real SPV work in progress. So real SPV is based on Moloch and is a new way to bring a real world asset on chain by using a Moloch and other, I would say, DeFi pure structure to bring a real world asset on chain. We have a first meeting with Shaman Sterling on the new silver audit today. There is a lot of stuff in there, so it will take a little bit of time to unpack it. But what is super interesting is that gave us a clear view on a real battle plan for on-chain securitization. And the funny part, interesting part, I would say, is that that see why the blockchain could be super interesting for securitization. So there is really a game we can play here to be a key element of for securitization. And maybe not make a DAO, but most likely the ecosystem as a whole. So that might allow us to increase the debt ceiling of those kind of securities, not only New Silver and not only Centrifuge, but all those that are based on the same structure, so securitization above the debt ceiling. The drawback is that it will take a lot of time to implement everything. There is a lot of legal complexities that we need to add to be more aligned with what is happening in the real world. On the Cayman Foundation, we have some news as well. So we have started to get some documents on the article of incorporation and the memorandum. So one of the main questions we have currently, and I change my view every day, more or less, is who is in charge of this Cayman Foundation. In my first post, I thought that the good idea was to have some maker representatives. So maker will be able to appoint 3 people, 5 people, like a multi-sig. Then we started to work on a MIP that will be able to pass messages to the board of directors, saying that the board of directors has to do only what they are told by the maker governance. So then you may say you don't have to have real people as directors of the Cayman Foundation. You can have kind of trustees. So some people that you pay and you are sure that will do whatever you tell them to do. But then there is another issue is that those people and trustees in general don't want to do much and they want to be told almost every single step. And then that means that we will have to spend a lot of executives just to make them do something. So maybe it's not the ideal as well. Maybe the best strategy is to have a combination of some maker representatives with some independent directors or trustees that will do the safeguards to ensure that there is no problem. Still to work on that front, but we might have some news soon. And yeah, that's about it on our end, if you have some questions.
I like the idea of not having loads of things to put in as executives. So if we can come up with some hybrids, that'd be good.
Yeah, and that's the issue. I mean, if you are having to tell everything every week, it's might be quite complex to do.
All right, not seeing any other questions there. So thanks for that update, Seb. Saw your camera pop on, Nadia, for the growth update. Take it away.
Thank you, Python. Hi, everyone. This is the link for this week's updates. You can go there and read it in detail. I just realized that was a very long post for this week, but we had been having meetings with different projects, with Brave, Blueprint, Decentraland, and Kyber. We are waiting to have the meeting with the 0x team to understand why they are not using the vaults, or probably maybe they were, but we wanted to have feedback from them and start from with that feedback as an input for the next steps about how we are going to offboard these collaterals and if we want to offboard these collaterals. I know the sentiment, the community sentiment showed us that we should because those are not profitable, but I think that through this feedback, we can consider other things besides profit. For example, if it's a good PR for us or not, or if it's a good partnership for us or not, or if maybe MakerVaults could be some sort of treasury management solution for these projects. So I think those are things to consider. Most of them, they are not, well, most of them, no, they are not using the MakerVaults as now because of different reasons. Because, for example, in the case of Brave, they were using the BAT token to incentivize their community. In other cases, they don't have someone who has like a strategy to manage the treasury, so they are not creating strategies to do that. It is also, although it is super interesting to know, and I think we all have to know this, that they really want to keep their token as a collateral on Maker. So what we are asking them is to take the remaining debt available in the vault, and we will consider that as a good sign that they really want to be as a collateral on Maker. Because of this is not an easy decision for them, because they have to have like internal meetings to evaluate the risk parameters and take the decision about opening a vault. We are giving them until September the 1st to see if they did it or not. And after that, we will evaluate next steps, I think. Next update is regarding institutional vaults. Well, we are working, and I think this is pretty cool, not just because it will represent a large supply, an increased DAI supply on our side, but also it's like a work we are doing between different core units, and we are also using Nexus feedback to create this new product, which I think is super great. And we are also in conversations with others that are interested about using something like an institutional vault from Maker, because they want to have access to a DAI loan. But of course, we are having some problems, and we are trying to figure out the way to solve these problems regarding KYC and regarding the off-chain requirements that these big institutions may have. And actually, Nexo, they also have these needs, but because they are Nexo, they are already using MakerVaults, they are more flexible. But if we really want to create a product focused on institutions, we have to think about having a one-to-one relationship to set agreements, for example, or how we could like give them a larger liquidation window, because these large institutions, they are used to do that. So we are talking with our legal counsel to understand all the KYC requirements. We are also trying to like talk with different companies, because maybe we don't have to find a solution for this. We could like just make an agreement with a partner who could provide these services to these institutions. So yeah, other updates, PSM delay update. Mariano wrote in the post the updates we got from Paxos, and this is very interesting because what we are talking with them, and actually they are working in a blog post, in a post to post in the forum to tell you all about this. But what we want to achieve with this partnership with Paxos is to have access to their APIs. So what does that mean is that we will have something similar as Circle has with USDC. So we will be able to provide on-off ramps from USD, from fiat to DAI, using the PSM in the middle, but that will be transparent for the user who has access to this. that's amazing. And well, we are working with Paxos team to make that a reality. We also wrote 2 posts. One is about future products and what else we can like create from the protocol. And it doesn't have to be like a product that that we create, but it also could be a partnership that we could like look for it. So join the conversation, read the post, and we are like reading your feedback, because that helps us a lot to understand the sentiment of the community and like bring more partners to the table. And also, this is something I talked about last week about DAI liquidity in other networks, in special is Thorchain. So I wrote a post explaining all the details about why we should think about a solution, not just for Thorchain, but in general for other networks. So because, well, now we are seeing all these multi-chain ecosystems. So we should like have a plan for this. So join the forum, the conversation, and we are reading your feedback. Start of the week, this week was announced the integration between Oasis and the push notifications module. This is great because I think it was something that our Vault users really need, and it's like they will be able through Oasis to get notifications that let them know different things about their Vault. So this is super cool. Tweet of the week. Through our handle, we talk about the PSM and USDC and all these discussion that was on crypto Twitter for the last days. And we also will be in Paris. So Gustav is talking about real world assets. I will be talking also about how was the process of passing from the foundation and now to be part of the community as a core unit. And with SES, product engineering team, and Gov Alpha, we organized this side event, keeping up with the Maker Mafia. So if you are going to be in Paris, I expect to see you all there. And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks for the update, Nadia. Covered a lot of ground there. Are there any questions from the audience here? I think I just saw one from David in chat that we got answered.
David, it's 0x.
Yeah, got it. So you were talking about having meetings with Brave, Loopring, Decentraland, and 0x just about like what to do with their current vaults and whether like they on their side support the community's decision to try to offboard them. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, got it.
All right. I'm freaking out less during the sciences, but I think I gave that plenty of time. I'll kick it over to Juan and SES for their update.
Thank you, pros. Hi, everyone. My name is Juan from SES, and quick updates from us for this week. Sorry if my internet's a bit choppy. I'm actually visiting Chris, and Starlink is not working very well. But yeah, on the permanent team side, we're working to publish OKRs. So hopefully we'll have them ready by next week or the next. But it's looking quite nice. I'm very happy with the results there. As Nadia mentioned, we are going to be at ECC next week. Lenka is going to be there collecting data and interviewing experts for Project X-Ray. Last week we had Nikolai and Wouter present risk and opportunities for the DAO. The video is already in the public folder, so check it out. It's very interesting. and we'll keep pushing on that framework as well. Regarding tomorrow's call, Andy is going to be, well, he actually already did a couple of successful workshops to define roles and responsibilities within a core unit. So tomorrow he's going to be talking more about that in our SES update at 2:30 UTC. So everyone's welcome to join and learn or give feedback on that as well. On other news, we have the DAI Foundation MIPS in RFC, so please give feedback. We already received a lot of feedback, so we're very happy with it. Hopefully we can make it even better before it goes to the formal submission. So yeah, forum.makerdao.com. Regarding the IncuBees, we actually have two announcements. I'm quite happy about that as well. One of them is a core unit focused on auctions and liquidations, UIs and services. So stay tuned for more. So yeah, hopefully we get to scale the DAO more and make it safer with that. And the other core unit that we are going to be onboarding is a bug bounty. Is a core unit that's going to manage a bug bounty program and security related activities. So we are quite happy with them and with the course of the incubation program. And yeah, Nikolai is going to actually be giving an update on that next week, so next Friday. So if you want to know more about that, please tune in. Regarding the community, Wouter and myself were in a podcast, I think it was a week ago, and it's live now with DAO House. It's called House Party. It's somewhere in Twitter. And on the ECC side events, I'm going to be presenting SES and Maker in W Source Decentralized Breakfast. Then we have the Keeping Up with the Maker Mafia on that same Wednesday. And on Friday, we'll be visiting the Daoist with Lenka to speak about DAOs in general. The two calls that are coming, one is to be defined. So we're to confirm it yet, but it's with Untitled for real world assets collateral onboarding. And the other one is the Know Your MIP on August 11th with the B protocol declaration of intent. That's pretty much it from us. Again, our office hours are Tuesdays at 1:30 UTC. So if you have any questions, come join us. And this is where you can all find us. I don't know if there are any questions.
Yeah, one, I was just curious about the auction UIs, and is the scope of that different from what the Dux team covers, or is this an additional team that will create some different applications or front ends for the, I guess, liquidation systems?
It is going to be specialized in not only UIs, but more like services, also UIs too, but it's going to be fully specialized in this. It's not Dux.
Oh, interesting. Cool. Looking forward to hearing more on that.
Same.
I had a question about the team that we're bootstrapping for handling bug bounty stuff. Do we know who those members are, or maybe we can have a discussion with PE in that team?
We can definitely. Let's okay. Talk about it.
Yeah, we'll set something up.
Great.
Anything else for Juan and SES? Awesome. Doesn't look like it. David, I see you popped on video and ready to go. Take it away with our MIPS update.
Yeah, sure. Let me just share my screen really quickly. If I could find the share screen button. Sorry, give me just a sec. All right, here we are. Okay, cool. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the weekly MIPS update. I am David, giving you the state of the vote this week. So yeah, welcome to the month of July, or rather, I guess we're halfway through it. So hello from the month of July. Last week, we had our formal submission period as usual. You know, week one, everybody submits as they should. And then we have our submission review on the Thursday call, which me and Peyton did last week. And so since then, Monday the 12th has rolled around and ratification polls have started. And so we are about a third of the way through these votes. And yeah, and today we're going to cover just what the submissions are and what the current results are. So yeah, let's talk about the state of the vote. So yeah, we have a number of different core units. So we have collateral engineering services, which is a core unit that's focused solely on the collateral onboarding aspect of the Maker protocol. They propose like an engineering team and process, like pretty much everything. With Monkey Irish for the facilitator, their annual budget is $3.1 million approximately, and they're proposing a team size of around 6 permanent people with 2 temporary roles and 2 advisors. And so for that core unit, we currently have a no vote winning, but of course, yeah, there's still plenty of time. So I encourage any MKR voters that are leaning against this core unit to voice why, and to give the facilitator or other members of this team a chance to really kind of address any concerns that they might not have been able to address during the RFC period. And so, yeah, currently collateral engineering services is running at a no. And then, yeah, and so then there's the Amazix marketing core unit, and they are yet another marketing services core unit that's being proposed with Mitchell Amazix for the facilitator. They have a $1.1 million proposed annual budget with a team size of about 5 people. And for that, we are getting an overwhelming no from MKR voters, with only 43 MKR for yes and about 12,000 for no. Then we have Strategic Marcoms, which is actually submitting the second version of their proposals. You know, they had a failed result in a prior month's governance cycle, and since then they've taken the community's feedback and implemented a lot of it. And so that's Kathleen Chu for the facilitator with a $4 million proposed annual budget, with a team size of 8 people and 3 planned hires. And so currently the vote is looking pretty split with no in the lead. We have about 4,000 for yes and around 8,000 for no. And I know that there was also a forum post that Paper had put up explaining why he personally is voting no. And some discussion has started there. And I know Kathleen is in that thread too, happy to answer questions. So if you do have anything against these proposals, yeah, definitely engage. This is a critical week or two for these proposals. And if they don't go through, they got to go another month or cancel or whatever. But either way, let's talk about it, is the point. Next, we have governance communications, which is a core unit that offers resources and services that focus on information accessibility and communications as a public organization. And that's actually being proposed with myself as the facilitator. We have a proposed annual budget of about $500,000 a year, with a team size of 2 permanent roles, 1 to hire, and around 7 to 8 part-time contributors. And so far, we have a positive result on our vote. We have 4,000 for yes and about 4 for no. So that's looking good. Encourage
David?
y'all to vote. Yeah, sure.
Sorry to interrupt. Just to say on the record that it's not Paper who posted this thread.
Okay. Apologies. Yeah, sure. I'm just going from memory. Yeah, my bad. But either way, yeah, cool. Thanks for that. All right, and then to continue on to the other submissions. So that's it for the core units. As for the other submissions, we have MIP 55, the Special Purpose Fund, and that is currently a resounding yes. If the vote ended today, it would be ratified because it passed that 10,000 positive participation mark. MIP 52, dispute resolution, likewise is past that 10,000 MKR mark. So unless somebody comes in with a whole lot of no's, it's looking like this is on track to get passed. And then the remaining two sub-proposals in the monthly cycle are SP19 and SP21 for budget modifications. They're modifying the growth team's budget and the content production team's budgets slightly up. One is to accommodate some new deals into new positions for the growth team, and another is to accommodate a new hire and additional continuity funds for the content production team. And so both of those are also a resounding yes, with 12,000 for growth and yeah, just about the same, a little bit more for content production. So yeah, so that's about it. So definitely we see, sorry, let me just kind of talk for a second. So there's a number of, you know, I guess a bit of turmoil in the core unit vote. So definitely am excited to see how the community works through it over this next week and a half. So yeah. That's it for the state of the vote, and I'll just quickly cover a few new MIPs in RFC before I hand it off to pros again. So we saw, as mentioned earlier in the call, the DAI Foundation core unit being kicked up. This is really, really cool. Soren Peter Nielsen for the facilitator with a proposed annual budget of $2 million for the first year, $1 million for the second year, and then 0 by year 3 and onwards. So it's a really actually unique kind of budget proposal for what it is. And then, yeah, we have,
Dave,
yeah, sure.
That's not, no, I was going to say that's not the annual budget at all. That's just the contingency budget that it's planned to be 3 million and they want 2 million in the first year and 1 in the second, but they actually have annual expenses. I don't know, I can remember, but I think it was like $500,000 per year.
Yeah, thanks for that, Juan. All right, cool. Yeah, so then by next week, I'm gonna update this. I'm gonna update the slide and get that more accurate. Yeah, I must have misread it. Thanks. Cool. Yeah, and then besides the DAI Foundation core unit, we have the Maker Portfolio core unit, which proposes to build a portfolio of publicly traded real-world financial assets that the Maker protocol can be exposed to. And so Chris Cameron, aka Paper Imperium, is proposing himself and this core unit for its facilitator, and the proposed annual budget is around 339K a year. So yeah, also definitely check that out in RFC. And then the final two MIPs that we saw pretty new in RFC are MIP 56, an alternative MKR compensation guidelines. This is a second attempt by different members of the working group to put up some guidelines, and there's a great number of comments and conversation happening in that thread. So definitely contribute. And then finally, we have MIP 57, which is Greg's proposed real world asset committee. This formalizes the creation of a real world asset committee at MakerDAO, its scope, and a process by which MKR holders can modify the membership of such groups. There's also tons of feedback already given for this MIP, which I love to see. And basically, this committee would just make recommendations on structural requirements, geopolitical implications, and business strategy of real-world assets. So yeah, all interesting, fantastic things. So read up on them, comment on them, and yeah. So that's about it. Any questions, feel free to ask. Also, don't forget about the MIPS portal. If you're interested in MIPS at all, go to mips.makerdao.com. There's everything there, including proposals in RFC, including obsolete proposals that are no longer active, like everything. So go check those out. And I know that the DSpot team actually has been doing a lot of work this month to create a lot of fixes and make things a lot awesomer for the reader and the user of that site. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you all.
Cool. I'll just chime in with a quick reminder if I can, Peyton. So just a reminder that the ratification polls need to hit 10,000 MKR on yes. So there are a couple of like CUs, I think, that were winning but hadn't reached the 10K mark. So just as a reminder, they do need to reach 10K, otherwise they count as failing. So bear that in mind, and I guess encourage everyone to vote.
Thanks for the reminder there, Long. I didn't see any questions in the sidebar. Worth pausing and asking one more time because we are at the end of our stated agenda. Cool. Well, in that case, definitely open the floor to topics that people might wish to further explore. in the governance and risk forum. Usually we end these meetings about 25 minutes from now, so that does give us some decent time to dive into something if there's something weighing on anyone's mind.
So one thing I guess briefly spoke to some members of PE about while the meeting was going on, was potentially including the CU budgets in the next executive as well, in the case that the current one doesn't pass. So we would.
I just got unmuted.
Oh, sorry, Andrew.
No, I was perma muted, but now I'm unmuted. Just keep talking.
Okay, cool. Yeah, anyways, so the idea here would be to include the budgets in the next exec with a modifier that makes sure that if the previous exec passes, then the budgets don't get sent again, which covers most cases. It doesn't cover the case of the new executive passing and then the previous executive passing, but that seems pretty unlikely. So we may do that. I need to confirm with Peyton, but we may do that to kind of ensure that we have budgets going.
We can test to see. So we could test to see if the old spell passed, and if it didn't in a new spell, we could then have the budgets in the new spell execute. So we could make a conditional.
The challenge is that if the new spell passes and the old spell passes after the new spell passed, you can't prevent like a double payment. But that doesn't seem like a big deal because then you just don't send payments to those core units the next month. It's just they got like a paycheck advance or something if that happens.
Yeah, I think it'd be vanishingly unlikely to happen, and also it's pretty low impact. So yeah.
There are some contingency budgets factored in with this though, so maybe not the smoothest in terms of just fronting another month.
Yeah, I mean, in a worst case, like I'm sure the core units would probably play nicely, like if they ended up overpaid and needed to send some back, or if we underpaid them, then we could, fill that out in the next month.
Yeah, it would be like a minor faff to get it all sorted out, but it's probably something we can deal with if it happens.
If we're done with that conversation, can I make a quick plug?
Yeah, we can maybe come to Bourbon after that if he still wants to chat.
Yeah, sure. So for the GovComms core unit, we currently have somewhat of a positive vote. Obviously, anything can happen. But in the meantime, in preparation of a positive outcome, we're looking for an engagement lead. So we have 2 full-time people with a third that we're hiring. This engagement lead role would involve a lot of really cool things, including like a quarterly engagement project with any stakeholder group, and like there's a lot. So I'm going to post the link about the role in the chat, and if you're interested, definitely reach out to me. So if you're interested in hosting calls, engaging with stakeholders, really leading like engagement internally here, reach out.
And you're doing the AMA tomorrow, yeah?
Oh yeah. Also, if anybody is interested in learning more about what we're going to be doing at GovComms, hopefully, feel free to join the AMA tomorrow. I'm going to be on there answering literally any questions you all have. So yeah.
Anything on your end, Bourbon?
Oh, well, you know, since I was unmuted, I guess I'll chime in with a thought that I think is not new to anybody, but, you know, I saw it come up, maker vesting. You know, I just think we should be pretty selective with how we hand it out. You know, I think everyone kind of knows that. Pretty much like as much as anyone might want to get vested and people deserve to be vested, we're pretty modest in what you request. And I think ultimately governance should be deciding how much maker any individual or core unit or person should be getting rather than maybe putting in a request. I think it's a little more modest to leave it open-ended, be like, how much do you think we deserve? I mean, obviously there's some core units that are just like, you know, critical. The whole thing won't exist without them. But, you know, not that every person is valuable here, but like there's some talent is like just really scarce to find. So, you know, don't be too aggressive with how much you're asking for. I think just leave it up to the community and leave it open-ended. Just some random thoughts that's not new to anybody.
I do have just a quick like technical question for, since somebody on this call might be able to answer it for me. So for maker vesting budgets, are those going to, for easy reference, are those going to appear under MIP 38 with like budgets and all and facilitators and all the other key info on the MIPS portal, or like where's the fast place to find that for each CU once they're up?
So at the moment, all of the budgets are under MIP 40 component 3. So if you go into the MIPS repo or the MIPS portal, you could check all of them out under that folder. At the moment, there's 2 core units that have proposed their budgets and MKR vesting in one proposal, and that's, I think, PE and Oracle's. Outside of that, we have like in the guidelines, in the proposed guidelines, this one piece called separation of concerns, and that asks for core units to actually put their budgets separate from their MKR vesting packages. And so far, SES has followed that guideline, even though it's not formally ratified. And you know, speaking as a MIP editor, I suggest people do that separation of concerns where they separate out their actual budget that might be modified quarter to quarter, or, you know, from the actual MKR vesting package. So yeah, you could find all of that under MIP 40 C3.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
So I think, Paper, did you mean about the tracking and having a list, or was it more about the way it works?
Oh no, just the quickest reference I can find where I can see every core unit's allocation.
Yeah, exactly. Because I even asked Long this on the forum. I don't think he had time to answer yet, but there was MIPS 38, I believe, that was supposed to keep track of these core units, but it was modified to not do it because the MIPS portal is supposed to have filters where you can say, give me all the sub proposals for MIP 39 that are approved or that have, I don't know, been obsolete or whatever. So you can use these filters to actually access this information in a quite easy way. But I'm not sure where we are with the MIPS portal, if those filters have been implemented yet, if they are in a quick link to review. So that might be the easiest way to do it, but I'm not sure if it's available yet.
Thanks.
So yeah, it's both in MIP 38 and MIP 38 C2, though it might not be completely up to date at the moment. And we don't have separate tags for like MKR budgets versus regular budgets. There's just like an active budgets tags filters. So you can look at all active budgets. We can probably look into putting a tag that separates like MKR budgets from like type budgets. Makes sense.
Awesome, thanks for those inquiries there. I find myself tempted to cut the meeting a little short today, seeing as doesn't seem to be much discussion. So if you are planning on getting one last thing in, this would be your last chance to do so.
anyone that I might have missed, which is probably most people, hit me up on Rocket Chat, and I will try to send you guys some stocks. I still have a couple hundred left, so you know, especially Julian. I think I hit you up. You didn't respond, and a bunch of the other guys, but yeah.
Has there been any update from the swag shop core unit?
I think because of the they're still part of the foundation until that's dissolved. Their hands might be a little bit tied.
I see.
Like, yeah, but I don't really know too many details. I love cool to talk to him, but half the conversations, you know, I can't talk about them.
Yeah, got it.
So,
okay, cool.
Yeah, so like the swag stuff, or like the urban swag stuff might be a good use of the special purpose budget MIP if it passes. Because I like personally, like one of my concerns was that it's maybe not a core unit and that like doesn't really have any responsibilities. But it's still something that we probably want the DAO to pay for rather than having the urban pay for.
responsibility is just make some people pretty happy or something. Get the word out. I mean, it's hard to like quantify like what is the value of what I'm doing. That's why I'm not like specifically asking for anything, but you know, I'm trying to like log my expenses, see what the hell I'm actually been spending on stuff, and it's sometimes more, sometimes less. You know, I was doing it for years. I bought the original die socks, but then while I was in ComDev, Amy was comping, you know, my expenses for shipping out to like the ComDev members, and I was like, you know what, let me ramp this up a little bit. Then ComDev dissolves, and so is my funding for it, but I still wanted to keep sending some stuff out. So whatever, like I don't know, makes me happy to see other people happy, and I think when we have high quality stuff, people like to wear it, show it off to like their friends, and you know, I wear. Not that I'm wearing this stock shirt, but I wear it like 5 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned on the chat a little bit ago that you paid like $1,800 for shipping somewhere, right? So that definitely seems like something that we should comp.
Oh yeah, that one was comped. That was one of the.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the last invoices for ComDev. That was so that one was comped, but everything following that. But that was to the Africa Blockchain Institute. I got like 4 crates of stuff. It was literally like 200 pounds of swag shipped to Africa. So I understand why it was so much money. But yeah, going forward, I've just been sort of paying out of pocket, but it's okay. It's just a few failed transactions. Like, which add up sometimes. My return address on every single thing? I guess I've been doxxed. Okay, cool.
Time to move, man.
That was nice. A few extra discussion topics. Yeah, keep it rolling. If you got everything else on your mind, I feel like these calls are a great opportunity. We have so many people from so many different parts of the ecosystem and general interest within Maker. So yeah, shoot your shot if you got anything else. All right. That's enough of me feeling terribly awkward sitting here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you in the forums. Have a good one.